Let's turn to Australia's vaccination rollout, which is gaining pace with the opening of Sydney's mass vaccination hub. And Gladys Berejiklian is now urging people over the age of 40 to sign up early for their Pfizer jab.
Norman Swan, presenter of the RN Health Report and the ABC's popular Corona Cast, joins us now from Sydney. Good morning, Norman.
Hi, Lisa.
Gosh, they seem to be having a bit of trouble finding this missing link. What does that mean for us all?
They never found the link, by the way, with the Northern Breaches outbreak. So, it could mean that there's infection circulating under the surface, maybe in a younger group of people, and it will pop up later. That's always possible. There is a little bit of an indication that maybe some of these new variants have a longer incubation period, probably not. But all these things could be working together, or indeed it's burnt itself out in the community, as it often does. You're just never sure, and they're just taking precautions for the next week. But so far so good.
It's just sticking in New South Wales, Norman. So we've heard this call now from Gladys Berejiklian for people aged 40 to 49 to pre-register for Pfizer. What effect do you think that's going to have on the uptake of people getting AstraZeneca? Will there be people who are going to hold out for Pfizer in that case?
I think anecdotally there are probably some people holding out for Pfizer, but I think most people know that under 50s we're going to get Pfizer anyway, and I don't think that's going to make a difference. What's good about the announcement is that it shows that they're moving forward, creates less uncertainty, so there's a sense of progression and how things are going to go. And in the meantime, others are taking up the Astra vaccine for the over 50s. And as you know, Michael and I pretended we were over 50 last week so that we could get the Astra in Melbourne.
And how are you going? Because we know that Michael was fighting fit, no issues. How'd you go?
Well, on a man flu scale, 1 to 10, I was probably at about a 5 on Thursday. Now, if it was either of you two, you'd have rated it as a 2, but I rated it as a 5.
Probably true. Norman, just speaking about ages, just before you came on air, I saw a breaking news alert out of the US that the FDA has approved the use of Pfizer for teenagers from the ages of 12 to 15. When are we going to start having those conversations here in Australia, you think, about children being vaccinated?
I think it's a fairly small step for the Therapeutic Goods Administration to approve it for the under 12s. The evidence is growing. They should, if they're doing the job properly, they should approve that pretty soon, so that that's ready to go. And I think that what they should do, whether they'll do it or not, is they'll just progressively move down through the age groups. And teenagers here will be, I assume, immunised when the vaccine is available. That is the way to get herd immunity in this country, but we're moving very slowly to get to herd immunity.
Just a final thought from you, Norman, about borders. We had the PM saying, maybe indefinitely shut, then it's well into 2022. On 7:30 last night, Jane Holton, who chaired the inquiry into hotel quarantine, she said, we are just going to have to get used to the idea of getting COVID in this country, because at some stage we're going to have to open borders and it will inevitably come in. I just wonder what your thoughts are about where we are at with borders and if we have to get used to that idea.
We have to get our vaccine strategy right, and we have to roll it out fast, and people have got to get immunised to a high level. But once a high proportion of older people are immunised, there is a kind of ethical issue here, which is vaccines are available, you can get immunised, and once everybody who wants to be immunised can be immunised, then we should open the borders, because it's people's choice then. And if people are vulnerable, like the flu, and I want to just say a quick word about the flu before we go, then we can open it. And yes, COVID will come in, and yes, some people will get sick, but they will have had the option of having the vaccine.
What is happening with the flu?
Well, I just looked at the numbers for today's Corona Cast, and they're astounding. How many cases of flu do you think there have been so far this year in the nation? 25 million people.
400?
230.
Yeah.
How many do you think in the year to date, to almost this date exactly, there were in 2019 before the pandemic? I'll put you out of your misery. 44,000.
Wow.
Right.
And in the 2 weeks before this week, 2 years ago, there were nearly 8,000 cases of flu. That just shows you the dimensions of flu relative to COVID, and and it's disappeared because of international travel and social distancing and so on. Doesn't mean we don't get the flu immunisation, because, as I've said many times on this show, when prevention works, nothing happens.
That is very interesting. Thanks for bringing that to us, Norman, and more on CoronaCast, no doubt. Great to speak to you this morning. Thank you.
Pleasure.